Thanks a lot, Bo. And I would add to that. It's extremely common for people to go to the States and then actually find their way back, just like you described yourself. I spent some time down there, and Dr. Courtney, who's our CEO, also started up a few companies down there and did his medical training and all of that down there. So I think people, we should be willing to embrace, the brain drain to some extent, in that there is expertise that we didn't have in Canada, and we are now starting to develop, largely in part as a result of learning from clusters where they have had success in these types of industries. And along with Bo, it is really nice to see that critical mass building. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think we're still relatively nascent in that world, but there's only one way to get there, is to grow, and there's definitely some growing pains associated with that. In terms of going back to the original question, as much as Lahav brought up some very good sort of high level and very intellectual types of conundrums and that kind of thing, I'm all for developing new strategies and better strategies going forward. Those take a lot of time, and there's a lot of effort there. In the meantime, we do have to do something. And the whole value-based outcomes, value-based care, it makes a lot of sense at a high level. From a very simple perspective, it just makes total sense to say, hey, if you get better outcomes with less money, that's a good thing. But the devil's definitely in the details in this type of thing, and it can be very dangerous to small companies like myself and Bose and others, in terms of the actual practical execution of that. There is, as we know, in Ontario and in Canada in general, access to capital is very, very difficult. And being able to fund a company to the point where you can actually generate the outcomes data to support things, it can take a very, very long time. And so it really comes down to the evaluation cycles of how long are we willing to wait to get this outcomes data before making decisions, because there can often be a lag when you introduce a new technology, as you're developing the technology and as clinicians are learning to use the technology, where the value isn't shown immediately. There's actually a lag to it, and so how long are we willing to wait for that? We have political cycles that go every 4 years, and they have their own metrics that they have to meet within their cycle, and so it's managing all of that together to make something that sounds really good on paper actually practical, and those are the types of things that we need to bring everybody to the table and discuss.